All right, ready for a deep dive. Today, we're tackling proteins. But forget nutrition labels, we're going way deeper. We're talking about a revolution in understanding these building blocks of life. And to help us unpack it all, we have our expert with us.
Yeah, it's a pretty big leap. We're diving into the world of AlphaFold.
AlphaFold.
This system can predict the 3D structure of proteins, and it's incredibly accurate. It's kind of a big deal in biology.
Okay, so back up a bit for me. Why is figuring out the shape of a protein so important? Like, what's the big deal with these structures?
Well, it all comes down to function. You know how a key fits into a lock? The shape of the key determines which lock it opens, right? Proteins are similar. Their 3D structure dictates how they interact, and that determines their role in everything, from how we digest food to how our bodies fight off diseases.
So knowing a protein's shape is like having the instruction manual for how it works in our bodies.
Exactly. For decades, scientists have been deciphering these structures using things like X-ray crystallography. It's complex and really time-consuming. Imagine solving a giant jigsaw puzzle, but each piece is a molecule.
Wow.
These traditional methods, they're valuable, but it's like building a skyscraper one brick at a time.
Okay, I see the challenge. So we have this incredibly complex world of proteins that are essential for life, but figuring out their shapes has been a slow and laborious process.
Exactly, and that's where the protein folding problem comes in. For over 50 years, scientists have been trying to figure out if we can predict a protein's 3D shape just from its amino acid sequence. Think of it like its basic building block code.
So, like trying to predict how a piece of origami will fold just by looking at the flat piece of paper.
That's a great analogy. It's a problem that puzzled scientists for a long time, that is until AlphaFold came along.
So AlphaFold, it took on this huge challenge, this protein folding problem, and it seems like a real game changer. How did it actually do it? How did it crack the code?
It's like, well, imagine AlphaFold as this detective, but in the world of proteins. It uses clues to solve the puzzle.
Okay, a protein detective, I like it.
It can read the physical and the evolutionary history of proteins.
Okay, so what does that mean to read the physical history?
Think of the laws of physics, how things interact. AlphaFold, it understands these fundamental forces that guide how amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, attract or repel each other. These forces, they shape the protein's 3D structure.
So it's like AlphaFold is this physics guru, but then it also understands evolutionary history. How does that work?
Right. It digs into the past, analyzes how proteins have changed, over millions of years. It looks at these things called multiple sequence alignments, MSAs for short, which are like family trees for proteins. They show how proteins have evolved and branched out over time.
So it's comparing a protein to its distant relatives to see how its shape might have changed.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
Right.
But how does it use all this information to actually build like a 3D model of a protein?
It's like having a blueprint, translating all that knowledge into the actual shape. Imagine a team of specialists, each with their own expertise. First, you have these things called evoformer blocks.
Evoformer blocks. It's like a sci-fi. What are those?
Basically, they're like processors. They crunch all this data, all this evolutionary and physical information, and figure out how amino acids relate to each other within a protein.
So they're figuring out how the pieces fit together, kind of.
Yeah, and then you have the structure module.
Okay, so the evoformer blocks do the analysis, and then the structure module comes in. What does it do?
It takes all that information, all that analysis from the evoformer blocks, and uses it to generate the 3D protein structure.
And this isn't just a rough sketch, right? We're talking really detailed, really accurate.
Right, and to get that accuracy, AlphaFold uses this special loss function called FAPE. It makes sure the final structure is as accurate as possible.
So it's checking its work, making sure everything is in just the right spot. Wow, so we've got AlphaFold, this incredible architect, taking into account physical forces, evolutionary history, and then using all that to create these really accurate 3D models. That's incredible.
It is remarkable. And on top of that, it can actually assess its own confidence in each prediction.
Confidence. So it's not just saying, here's the shape, but more like, I'm 99% sure this is it.
Yeah, exactly. It gives a confidence score called PLDDT for each part of the protein. So we know which parts of the prediction we can be more confident in.
So we've got this incredible protein predictor, AlphaFold, a few limitations, but huge potential. But how's it actually being used? Are we talking scientists geeking out on labs, or is this impacting the real world?
Oh, it's already making a difference, and not just in labs. Think of AlphaFold as this super-powered tool. It's making research easier, faster, more efficient for scientists working on real-world problems.
Okay, so like what? Give me an example.
Take molecular replacement, for instance.
Molecular replacement. Is that like finding the right puzzle piece, but on like a crazy tiny scale?
Exactly. It's a technique scientists use to figure out the structure of molecules. AlphaFold can predict those structures so accurately, it's like having a cheat sheet for the puzzle.
So it's speeding things up. What else?
It's helping a lot with something called cryo-EM map interpretation.
Cryo-EM, that rings a bell. Isn't that where you like flash free stuff and look at it under an insanely powerful microscope?
You got it, cryo-electron microscopy. And AlphaFold is helping scientists make sense of those images, revealing the secrets of molecules in amazing detail.
So faster, more efficient research. I see why this is such a big deal. But zoom out for me a bit. What are the long-term implications of AlphaFold? What doors does this open in the future?
Okay, now it gets really exciting. Imagine we can predict the structure of any protein in any organism super fast, in hours, maybe even minutes. That's the future AlphaFold could create.
We're talking like mapping the entire protein universe.
Exactly, and not just mapping it, but understanding it. It could be revolutionary for drug discovery, for example. We could design drugs that precisely target specific proteins, leading to more effective treatments, fewer side effects.
Wow.
Think about diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, all these diseases linked to misfolded proteins. This could transform how we understand and treat them.
Okay, so better drugs, better treatments, a deeper understanding of diseases is huge. Anything else? Where else could AlphaFold have an impact?
Honestly, the possibilities are massive. We could engineer new enzymes for biofuels, develop innovative materials inspired by nature. AlphaFold could change almost every aspect of biology and medicine, lead to advancements we can barely even imagine right now.
So AlphaFold, it's this game-changing tool, shaking up research already, and with the potential to reshape our world in ways we can't even fathom. This has been pretty mind-blowing, but as always, we like to leave you with something to ponder.
If we can predict these protein structures with this level of accuracy, what other complex biological problems can we solve with AI? What else is out there?
Right. What other mysteries can we unravel? And how will this knowledge shape the future of medicine, even our understanding of life itself? That's something to think about. It's a wrap on today's deep dive, everyone. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.